I've always contended that no one really knows what's going to happen over the short term in crypto, but it does feel like we're in the early days of what could be a period of very rapid expansion of use of Cardano. As this happens, the ecosystem will probably have to take the good with the bad, and the destination we reach may not be our idealized dream scenario, but it seems like it should turn out to be quite a few steps better than the current crypto scene and a pretty good place to be. Ready? Let's go. Today, we are going to discuss the 4 millionth minting of a Cardano native asset that happened earlier today, Coinbase opening up yield on ADA for Coinbase users, Liqwid announcing some NFTs with details about utility, and MuesliSwap V2 hitting the testnet. If you like hot air balloons expanding in a beautiful desert setting, or if these videos are bringing you value each weekday, please consider delegating to the army of Spies stake pool, ticker AOS. We're also very proud that the last few epochs, we have minted more blocks than those online probability calculators would have predicted. Today was a tiny bit of revenge for Charles. And I mean a tiny bit. I mean, this is like 1% revenge, but a tiny bit of revenge nonetheless. You'll remember some time ago, Charles made this prediction. And the prediction was that a certain number of native assets and a certain number of dApps would be on the Cardano blockchain within X amount of time. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like thousands of native assets and hundreds of dApps, or vice versa, or thousands of each. I can't remember what it was. And it was like by the end of next year or by the end of this year. Can't even remember what the time period was. But when that time period came and passed and we hadn't quite deployed all of the things the Cardano ecosystem would have had to have deployed to make those native asset issuances and those dApp deployments possible. When that time period had passed and we hadn't done what we needed to do to make that happen, the critics did not let Charles off lightly. Today was a tiny revenge, although sometime later, a tiny revenge for Charles when we saw this post. Morgan Schofield, who is the head of ecosystem growth at IOHK, posted, "Today we will witness the 4 millionth Cardano NFT being minted with 50,000 distinct minting policies. As we scale throughput, this pace will increase. Digital sovereign ownership has never been so easy or secure." This is pretty astounding and a pretty big milestone. I don't know when we saw the first NFTs on Cardano, I don't know if I would have guessed that it would be this point in time so soon that we would see the 4 millionth native asset on Cardano and 50,000 different minting policies. This is a pretty big milestone and a tiny bit of revenge for Charles after he took so much heat over his earlier prediction. From good news to questionable news, maybe good, maybe bad, maybe both, depending on your perspective. Here we have a post. Coinbase expands staking offerings to include Cardano. I didn't even need to see this on Twitter because someone texted this to me the moment I woke up. Not a listener of this channel, somebody I know in real life who doesn't know anything about this channel, but somebody texted this to me this morning. This news, of course, was greeted with a mixed reaction, completely independent of the actual yield percentage they're offering. On the one hand, of course, you want your favorite blockchain project to be offered an equal playing field, to be offered the exact same things as every other blockchain project. And in the case of Cardano, historically, that hasn't been the case for us. We haven't been offered those other things because, and this is my opinion, but we're so disruptive. We come along and we're like, we're not going to do this EVM thing. We're going to do something brand new. We're going to have a UTXO architecture and we're still going to do smart contracts. very disruptive. So of course, Cardano's a threat. It's completely on the outside. It's a much longer timeline for development, a lot of reasons. But Cardano historically has not been necessarily offered the same things by these sort of big institutions in crypto that a lot of similar projects have been. Just the very inclusion of ADA in Coinbase took an extremely long time. Thank you to Kraken for supporting ADA much earlier than Coinbase. But it's hard to deny that offering that yield won't be very tempting for a lot of Coinbase users. I think if you have a casual user of Coinbase, I know a lot of people in real life who are this way. They've heard of Cardano. They're not really deep enough in crypto to even understand the difference between Cardano and a lot of its competitors. They just don't devote that much time to it. However, like almost all humans, they do like money. So when they think there's a chance to make some money, they're very interested. They're willing to devote some time to that. And a lot of these people, they may never leave Coinbase. Coinbase may be their sole interaction with crypto. And of course, when they see, a handful of other crypto assets that will earn them a yield on Coinbase and not Cardano, that's going to be a little bit of a black mark against Cardano. But now all of a sudden, Coinbase is offering not just a small yield on Cardano, but a pretty healthy one compared to the other assets. I think a lot of people, a lot of casual users of Coinbase will be much more attracted to Cardano because of this. On the other hand, you have to ask yourself, okay, this is Coinbase offering staking. And of course, we can all imagine why Coinbase is offering this staking. There's a million ways Coinbase could be getting a yield on the ADA they are holding on behalf of their users beyond that 3.75 or whatever the number they're quoting is. Of course, if they're like most exchanges, whatever number they're quoting is going to be a healthy amount less than the yield they're actually getting. So they're making profit by holding on to this ADA and using it somewhere. They could be doing a number of things. They could just be staking it and taking the normal reward from the staking rewards. Of course, yesterday we discussed those 23 brand new mystery pools that were Coinbase related. But regardless of what margin Coinbase is earning on top of what they're offering to their users, this brings up some broader questions. As Cardano gets bigger, as we expand, as usage of our ecosystem expands, there are going to be a lot of institutions becoming more interested in Cardano. We saw Grayscale make Cardano its heaviest allocation in its, We Hate Ethereum smart contract fund. Covered that a few days ago. But Grayscale and Coinbase are not going to be the end of sort of institutions wanting to get in on Cardano. If it does what we all think it's going to do, there might be institutions much more unsavory than these, institutions that are definitely not crypto native. And I can't predict what timeline this could happen on, but I think we understand that in the world of finance, there are a lot of institutions who are looking to make a profit. They're not crypto native in any way, but they're interested in anything that will make them a profit. And Cardano staking might be one of those things that is on their radar at some point in the future. Can you imagine if we were talking about not Coinbase opening up 23 pools and offering a yield to its users? What if someone like Chase Bank comes in and they decide to buy up a gigantic multi-pool operation? What if somebody like that comes in and they buy up a big multi-pool operation, and all of a sudden there are 72 Chase Bank owned stake pools? This is obviously a hypothetical event, but there's not really anything we could do about that hypothetical event. Cardano is an open protocol. Anybody can open up a stake pool. Anyone could take a stake pool and sell it to some institution that the crypto Cardano crowd would find to be unsavory. This could happen. In fact, you have to ask the question, would we even know if that happened? Would we even be aware of it? And of course, this could happen in any proof of stake system. This could even happen in any proof of work project. Would you even know if Chase Bank owned gigantic mining farms? If they actually owned these gigantic collections of mining rigs, we probably wouldn't even know. As much as it pains me to say it, this would probably also be one of those mixed bag things because of course we wouldn't want our current Cardano people staking with Chase Bank. This is like the worst possible circumstance that could ever occur. This is the worst scenario we could dream up almost. There are worse things, but this is pretty bad. This is pretty far down the bad list. But they probably wouldn't do it because they were interested in they were just interested in the delegation of the Cardano crowd. They would be interested in offering that kind of yield to their normal customers. Think about how many people have Chase savings accounts and what kind of ridiculously low yield they're getting. If Chase could suddenly come along and offer them Cardano delegation level yields or something more like Coinbase, a little bit less so they can keep a little bit more. That would be very attractive to their customers, and Chase would probably love to offer that. Obviously, there are a billion regulatory hurdles to this happening, but we're talking at some point down the timeline. If Cardano keeps expanding, the big financial institutions aren't going to just stand by. They're not going to stand by and watch crypto take over the entire world of finance. They're not going to like offering their customers these very, very low yields on everything and, knowing at the same time that their customers could just jump over to Cardano and get these much, much higher yields. So I think at some point in the future, there are going to be worse mixed bag experiences than this Coinbase offering staking to their customers. It's going to look much, much worse when non-crypto native entities start deciding that it's time for them to jump in and do the same thing. This Chase Bank example is obviously kind of absurd and ridiculous. But while it would be abhorrent to us to see Chase, some institution on the level of Chase, as traditional finances as that name is, it would seem abhorrent to us. But at the same time, can you imagine the mainstream onboarding that could take place if people suddenly had the choice of getting next to zero returns on their savings account or Cardano delegation level returns? Can you imagine how many people would suddenly start using Cardano or whatever crypto blockchain was involved? Again, just to be clear, I don't believe that Jamie Dimon is in any way considering anything like this, or that he would consider anything like this on anything but an extremely, extremely long timeline, somewhere way down in the future. And obviously there are a billion banking regulations that would prevent all this anyways. But I think if Cardano does what we all think it's going to do, the regulatory environment's going to change rapidly. And I think it's a fair guess that one possible scenario could be that the regulations, miraculously change to allow the legacy financial institutions to do a lot of the crypto things that we don't want them to do. Liqwid posted this today. Liqwid Aqua Farmers NFTs coming soon. And they said Cardano metaverse and staking utility to follow. Very interesting. And the little characters are kind of interesting too. I don't know what it is about, cute or semi-cute characters holding machetes, but there's something I like about it. And just to be clear, we cover a lot of different projects on this channel because I think they're interesting. I think their use cases are interesting. It in no way is advice for you to do anything, not to buy, not to sell, not advice for you to do anything at all. I like to always disclose when I own a project. I definitely own some Liqwid tokens, but I did not buy them at these prices. If you are in the market for Liqwid tokens, you should probably think long and hard about how many tokens are circulating right now compared to the fully liquidated amount once all those tokens start being issued, once the platform is running. So I just want to make it clear, just because we're covering a project doesn't mean this is some kind of advice that you should buy the project, because there are other issues. Even if there's something cool going on at the project, there are other things like tokenomics, like how much is the circulating supply right now? Is it a scenario where the circulating supply is extremely small because they just issued some tokens out to their Discord users, and when the platform starts running, that circulating supply is going to rapidly expand? So just be aware, this in no way is any advice about buying a token, but we're just covering some news about some NFTs here. Finally, MuesliSwap posted this today. We have put a first version of MuesliSwap v2 on Testnet. Stay tuned for us adding many features over the coming weeks. Be aware, I also own some MuesliSwap tokens, but this is what that V2 user interface looks like on the testnet. You can see here it's using testnet milk, not real milk, but we've got both limit orders and market orders. And this has always been the big knock on MuesliSwap, because it truly is a UTXO order book, as opposed to being an AMM like MinSwap and SundaySwap and virtually all of the other competitors that have either come on the scene or will be coming on the scene. But the partial fulfillment of orders, previously you would have had to have come over here and sort of picked out an order in the order book and just taken that amount, whatever the amount is. Like this one, you would have had to have taken all 93 of the tokens in that order. You couldn't have taken part of it. And the big deal with V2 was that you'd have partial order fulfillment. This is pretty cool. I like both. I like both architectures. I like the AMM architecture, and I also like this order book architecture. But there is something like very fulfilling about not having to deal with the slippage in an AMM. I think, especially in those early days of SundaySwap, I think a lot of people experienced extreme slippage, maybe for the first time. Maybe if you were using an AMM for the first time, that might have been the case. And you could still experience it if you made a market order in an order book style exchange. You could still experience slippage, but there is something really comforting with the ability to make an order, a limit order, and have it execute at the price you've set or not execute at all. Something kind of comforting about that. I hope you're having a great week, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.